Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Nukma Biology Classes. In this video, our topic is Human Genome Project. This video is taken from Chapter 6, Part 5th of CBSE Class 12th. This is the last video of the Molecular Biology series. So let's come on the topic. At first, the question is, what is Human Genome Project? It is a curious fact that each human individual has a separate identity which differentiates him from others, and this identity is due to presence of his specific genetic makeup. That is why the two individuals' persons are not similar and the differences lie in their genetic makeup. If we trace the differences between the two individuals at molecular level, the differences lie in nucleotide sequences of their DNA. This has led the scientists to prepare a detailed map of human genome, and then the field of genomics came into existence. The Human Genome Project was an international scientific research project with the goal of determining the base pairs that make up human DNA and of identifying and mapping all of the genes of the human genome from both a physical and a functional standpoint. Now, the Human Genome Project. The term genomics was coined by Thomas Roderick in 1986 to describe the scientific discipline of mapping, sequencing, and analyzing genomes. The term genome was coined by H. Winkler in 1920 to the complete set of chromosomal and extrachromosomal genes of an organism or a virus. The field of genomics is based mainly upon a new area in the biology called as bioinformatics. It is the branch of science concerned with the management and analysis of biological information stored in databases. This branch developed after establishment of genetic engineering techniques, introduction of automated proteins and DNA sequencing technologies, and the use of computers to store enormous data which could be easily accessed remotely. By the end of 1980s, it became possible to isolate and clone any piece of DNA in order to determine the DNA sequences. This has led the initiation of an ambitious project of sequencing human genome, which was launched as Human Genome Project. Now, the Human Genome Project is a comprehensive international effort that started in the year 1990 by molecular biologists to map the entire human genome by determining the complete nucleotide sequence of DNA of each chromosome, that is 22 autosomes and X and Y sex chromosomes. Human genome consists of approximately 3 billion base pairs, and if the cost of sequencing single base pair required about $3, then the overall expenditure was estimated to be approximately 9 billion dollar to complete the project. Besides a costly affair, the problems of storing the sequences was also challenging. This can be understood by assuming to store the obtained sequences in typed form in books. Then you need about 3300 books, and each book having 1000 pages and each page is having 1000 letters to store the information of DNA sequencing from a single human cell. Officially, the Human Genome Project was launched on October 1, 1990 by the US Department of Energy and the National Institute of Health. Soon it was joined by Wellcome Trust. By 1993, the project had become an established international effort and joined by many countries like Japan, France, Germany, China, etc. Now, the goals of HGP, that is Human Genome Project. So the first one is to determine the sequences of the 3 billion base pairs present in the human genome, to identify and determine the functions of all the approximately 20,000 to 25,000 genes in human DNA, to identify and point out the specific genes that cause genetic disorders, to store the information obtained from DNA sequencing in databases, to improve tools for the data analysis, to transfer the technologies to other sectors such as industries. And the last is to address the possible ethical, logical, legal, and the social issues that may arise from the project. The mega project was completed in 2003, 13 years after its start in 1990. The informations gained from the project were most exciting. Some of the informations about the effects of DNA variations among individuals are being used in diagnosis and the treatment of human genetic disorders. They have also opened the prospects of solving thousands of disorders that affect human beings. Besides providing benefits to human beings, the sequencing is also being tried about non-human organisms such as bacteria, yeast, Drosophila, plants, etc. Now, the methodologies of the DNA sequencing. So there are two different types of approaches in which the first one is to identify all the genes that are expressed in the cell as RNA molecules. This technique is called expressed sequence tags, that is ESTS. Sequencing the total genome and later assigning the different regions in the sequence with specific functions. This technique is called sequence annotation. Here, the whole genome sequencing is ostensibly the process of determining the complete DNA sequence of an organism genome at a single time. This entails sequencing all of an organism chromosomal DNA as well as DNA contained in the mitochondria and for plants in the chloroplast. Human genome, here you can see that first the primer for the replication, then the prepare 4 reaction mixtures including each a different replication stopping nucleotides, then separate products by the gel electrophoresis. After that, the read sequences as complement of bands containing the labeled strands. The Human Genome Project followed the techniques of sequencing the total genome. The total DNA was isolated from a cell and then broken into random fragments of relatively smaller sizes. These fragments were then cloned in suitable hosts using specialized vectors. The common hosts were bacteria and yeast. The vectors of bacteria were called bacterial artificial chromosomes, that is BAC, and those of yeast were called yeast artificial chromosomes, that is YAC. Nowadays, the techniques of PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, is applied for making copies of DNA fragments. The cloning resulted in the amplification of each DNA fragment so that sequencing is done with the ease. After amplification, the DNA fragments were sequenced using techniques of automated sequencing. This technique was developed by Frederick Sanger. Each fragment is sequenced from two ends. Some sequence will be same, others will overlap with some of those sequences. The sequences were then arranged on the basis of overlapping regions because the fragments may come from the same genomic area. Alignment of these sequences is a very complicated work within humanly very difficult. For this purpose, specialized computer programs were written to accomplish the task. A computer program identifies the overlapping sequences and joins them into one continuous stretch. These stretches were then assigned to specific chromosomes. Presently, all the 22 autosomes and X and Y sex chromosomes of human beings have been sequenced. The sequence of the chromosome first was completed in May 2006. Moreover, the genetic and physical maps on the human genomes were generated utilizing the information on polymorphism of restriction endonuclease recognition sites. Some information was also obtained from the microsatellites. Now, salient features of the human genome. The total number of nucleotide bases present in the human genome is 3164.7 millions. The average genes has 3000 bases, but their size varies greatly. The largest human gene is dystrophin, which contains 2.4 million bases. The total number of genes present in human genome is 30,000. Earlier, this number was thought to be 80,000 to 1,40,000 genes. Maximum number of genes 2968 are found in chromosome first, whereas minimum number 231 are found in Y chromosomes of human genome. Almost all nucleotide bases are exactly the same in all human beings. Functions of more than 50% of discovered genes are not known. Repeated sequences of the nucleotides make up a major portion of human genome and only less than 2% codes for proteins. In repetitive sequences, the nucleotide sequences are repeated many times, sometimes 100 to 1000 times. The repetitive sequences are known to have no direct coding functions. They provide information of chromosome structure, dynamics, and evolution. About 1.4 million locations have been identified where single base DNA differences occur in human genome. This information is certainly going to help to find chromosomal locations for disease associated sequences and tracking human history. In addition to mapping human DNA, the Human Genome Project includes mapping the genomes of species important in biological research, namely E. coli, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Drosophila melanogaster, and Mus musculus, etc. Here, this is the summarized account of the Human Genome Project in diagrammatic view. Here you can see that a presentation that how the Human Genome Project, you can see now the applications of the HGP, that is the Human Genome Project. Mapping of the gene will enhance the basic understanding of the human genetics, reveal the genes responsible for disease such as cardiovascular alignments, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, etc. Provide information that will help to prevent inherited diseases, lead to treatment of genetic disorders through the gene therapy, give genetic identity to us, and help plan genetically modified diets. So these are the applications of the HGP. Now, here the RISE Genome Project. What is RISE Genome Project? RISE Genome Project is a comprehensive multi-country consortium of research institutes who successfully mapped the entire RISE genome by determining the complete sequences of more than 400 million base pairs. Here you can see the milestone in RISE genome sequencing. In September 1997, sequencing of the rice genome was initiated as an international collaboration among 10 countries. Then, in 1998 February, IRGSP launched under coordination of RGP. Then in April 2000, Monsanto Corporations produced a draft sequences of BSC covering 260 MB of the rice genome. 95% of the rice genes were identified. February 2001, Syngenta produced a draft sequences and identified 32,000 to 50,000 genes. 99.8% sequences accuracy and identified 99% of the rice genomes. In December 2002, IRGSP finished high-quality draft sequences with a sequence length excluding overlaps of 366 MB corresponding to 92% RG. Then in December 2004, IRGSP produced the high-quality sequence entire rice genome with 99.99% accuracy and without any sequence gap. So these are the milestones in the rice genome project. Now, why rice genome? So, rice is an important carbohydrate-rich crop with along with wheat and corn yield nearly two-thirds of the global food production. The demand of rice is particularly expected to increase many folds according to report of International Rice Research Institute, as more than half of the world's population will depend on this staple crop by 2020. Rice is a model plant for the research as it has the smallest genome as compared to other major cereals, like corn, wheat, barley, sorghum, millets. For instance, the rice genome is 6 times smaller than corn and 37 times smaller than wheat. So, rice genome. Now, what are the key players in sequencing the projects? At first, the International Rice Genome Sequencing Project. Here, the sequencing method is map-based sequencing. In Beijing Genomics Institute, here the shotgun sequencing. In Monsanto Corporations, here the map-based sequencing, and Syngenta Marriott, here the shotgun sequencing. What does rice genome sequencing reveals? The map-based sequence covered 95% of the 389 MB rice genomes, a total of 37,544 genes, with an average gene density of 1 gene per 9.9 kb and average gene length of 2,699 base pair. Chromosomes 1 and 3 have the highest gene density, and chromosome 11 and 12 have the lowest gene density. Now, what is the rice genome? The world's first genome of a crop plant that was completely sequenced is the rice genome. The genome with the fewest stuffer pieces, the rice genome is the Rosetta Stone of all the bigger grass genomes. Rice, like Arabidopsis, is a model experimental plant. The double-stranded DNA molecule is held together by the chemical component called bases. Here the adenine bonds with thymine and cytosine bonds with the guanine. These letters form the code of life. There are more than 400 base pairs in rice, wound into 12 chromosomes. Written in the DNA are about 40 to 60,000 genes, which rice cells use as a template to make proteins. It is these sophisticated molecules that build and maintain the rice plant. The human genome, by contrast, has 30 to 40,000 genes. So, this is the rice genome. Now, here, the importance of Rice Genome Project. The Rice Genome Sequence is fundamental information about the genetic makeup of rice, which will help the scientists in to develop improved varieties of rice by expanding our knowledge about crop yield, disease pest resistance, hybrid vigor, as well as adaptability to different environmental conditions. To lead to advancing the global efforts to improve other food crops such as corn, wheat, barley, sorghum, millets, etc. As genomes of rice, corn, wheat, rye, barley, sorghum, millets, etc. have similar genetic maps over larger blocks of chromosomes. Now, after this, you can see here the DNA fingerprinting. It is the most important topic in this chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. So, what is DNA fingerprinting? DNA fingerprinting is a technique employed to assist in the identification of individuals on the basis of their respective DNA profiles. It is also known as DNA profiling or DNA typing. DNA fingerprinting was invented in 1977 by a British geneticist, Sir Alec Jeffreys, at Leicester University. So, DNA fingerprinting of children should be similar to those of the parents. DNA fingerprinting can show which individuals are the present in parents of a specific children. So, the latter, this technique was refined by the developing a more sensitive DNA profiling technique focusing mainly on highly variable mini satellites in the human genome. Nowadays, highly automated and sophisticated equipments are employed which can process hundreds of samples in a day. Now, here you can see after this, that is the principle of DNA fingerprinting. So, if we talk about the principles, genome, that is DNA of a single set of chromosomes of a person, contains about 3 billion base pairs, and these are arranged in a definite sequences to give an individual his or her identity. Technique of DNA fingerprinting is mainly based on the fact that DNA of one individual is about 90% identical to the DNA of the another individual. But there is 10% of the DNA that is different. This 10% of the total DNA is very important. Scientists use this 10% of the DNA or a small number of sequences that are unique among individuals to get a certain probability for a match and distinguish among the individuals. So, here you can see the DNA molecules can be divided into coding and non-coding sequences. The coding sequences are called exons and the non-coding sequences are called introns. Exons carry information required to synthesize proteins, and the introns do not supply any relevant genetic information. The changes usually occur and accumulate within these coding sequences, and these non-coding sequences of approximately 10 to 100 nucleotide pairs are responsible for variations among individuals and can be employed as a tool to create a genetic fingerprint of an individual. Some of these non-coding sequences contain highly repetitive sequences of the base pairs. They are randomly repeated many times and are found to many places throughout the length of the DNA. So, here the number of repeats is very specific in each individual and it is inherited. It is unlikely that the repeats of one individual are found in the DNA of another person. For example, one individual may have the unit ACA repeated 55 times at one genome locus, so 115 times at a second locus and so on, whereas another individual is likely to have the different numbers of repeats as these loci. Such polymorphic genetic loci are usually called simple tandem repeats, that is STRs. The identical twins, however, may have the same repeats. Here you can see the mini satellite, that is variable number tandem repeats, and microsatellite, that is short tandem repeats, that is simple sequence repeats SSR. The tandem repeats make satellite DNA. For example, ATTCGA, TTC, GATTGC sequence of based in a DNA have a very short sequence of ATTCG. Repeat 3 times. Such repeated sequences are of 2 types. First one is mini satellite and the second is microsatellite. Mini satellites have sequence of approximately 15 to 50 base pairs and repeated tandemly up to thousands of times. There are about 30,000 mini-satellite loci in the human genome. The microsatellite have been base pairs of less than 10 and repeated usually 10 to 100 times. In human genome, there are about 2 lakhs such satellite loci. These simple tandem repeats of the short sequence are called variable number tandem repeat, that is VNTRS. These repeats are inherited from the parent and are used as a genetic marker in a personal identity test. So here you can see 3 types of. First one is the microsatellite, next is the mini satellite, and the last is the macrosatellite. So these are the TR, that is tandem repeats. So what are the main differences in the microsatellite and mini satellite? Microsatellite has a short tandem repeat that consists of 1 to 9 base pairs monomer repeating sequences. While in the mini satellite, the tandem repeats with a monomer repeat length of 10 to 100 base pairs. In microsatellite, reach with A and T bases. In the mini satellite, reach with the G and C bases. In microsatellite, also known as simple sequence repeats or short tandem repeats, while the mini satellite also known as variable number of tandem repeats, that is V and TR. So these are the main differences between the microsatellite and mini satellites. Now, after this, what are the sources of the DNA for fingerprinting? So there are many sources that for the forensic genetic analysis like blood, semen, saliva, urine, feces, perspirations, bone and tissues. As the DNA content of a person is the same for every cell, tissues, and organ, the DNA sample for the fingerprinting test may be obtained from traces of blood, semen, and urine stains on clothes or other surfaces, saliva residue on cigarette butts, vaginal swab, tissue bits, or even a single hair. Besides, DNA can also be isolated from samples that are months or years old. So these are the sources of the DNA for the fingerprinting. Now, what are the procedure of the DNA fingerprinting? So, if we talk about the procedure of the DNA fingerprinting, here you can see the whole process, that is first the DNA sample, then the extraction of the DNA, then cleavage of DNA, then gel electrophoresis to separate DNA fragments, then the southern blotting techniques, then autoradiography to obtain DNA bands, and the last is develop and visualize DNA fingerprints. So, DNA molecules are isolated from a sample of blood, semen, or other body fluids or tissue by using a specific technique such as a high speed refrigerated centrifuge. If DNA is in the poor condition or available only in the minute quantities, the particular STRs may be amplified by making many copies of it with the help of using polymerase chain reaction, that is PCR. So the DNA molecules are cleaved, that is cut into fragments at specific sites with the help of site recognizing restriction endonuclease enzyme for the purpose of restriction fragment length analysis. The DNA fragments contains the VNTRS. DNA fragments are then sorted out according to their length on an agarose gel slab by the technique called electrophoresis. The fragments get arranged along the gel according to their length and electric charges. Then the double stranded DNA is now split into single strands by using alkaline chemicals. The isolated DNA fragments in the gel are copied onto a nylon nitrocellulose sheet placed on the gel. This technique is called Shadhan blotting after its inventor, that is E.M. Shadhan. So, in case of Shadhan blotting, the basis of RFLP analysis, here you can see the same process, that is DNA extracted, then the restriction enzymes produces fragments, then the double stranded fragments separated by the electrophoresis, then the denatured to the single strand fragments transfer from gel to membrane, then radioactively labeled probe in single strand form, then the cover membrane with probe incubated, then wash to remove the excess probe, then visualizing bending to exposure to X-ray film, and the last is develop film. DNA typing pattern appears. So, special DNA probes are prepared in the laboratory, and these contain the repeated sequence of the nucleotides complementary to those on VNTRS. These probes are made radioactive. The radioactive DNA probes bind to the repeat sequences on the nylon sheet. This is called hybridization. An X-ray film is exposed to the nylon sheet to mark the places where the radioactive DNA probes have bound to the DNA fragment. These places are marked as a dark bands when X-ray film is developed. This process is called autoradiography. So the dark bands on X-ray film represent the DNA fingerprints on the DNA profile. So this is, here you can see a summarized account of the procedure of the DNA fingerprinting in diagrammatic representation, that is the blood sample, then the DNA isolated from the blood sample, then the DNA subjected restriction digestion, then the fragments of DNA are separated by electrophoresis, then the transfer of DNA, that is fragment to the membrane, southern blot, then hybridization with the radioactive probe, then the excess radioactive probe is washed, then developing the X-ray film to detect the radioactive probe, and the last is DNA pattern is compared with the patterns of known subject. So this is the whole process of the DNA fingerprinting. Now here What is the reliability of the DNA fingerprinting? The conventional fingerprints, commonly used as personal identification, were discovered by a Scottish medical missionary, Henry Follett, in 1880. These fingerprints are genetically determined, are unique for an individual, and do not change in one's life. DNA fingerprints occur in every cell and cannot be changed by any means. The DNA regions chosen are ones known to be highly variable from one person to another and give very accurate results. So, this is the reliability of DNA fingerprinting. Now, the application of the DNA fingerprinting. What are the applications? So, the first, here you can see that the DNA fingerprinting real world applications, crime scenes, human relatedness, paternity, animal relatedness, anthropology studies, disease causing organisms, food identification, human remains, and monitoring transplants. Now we will see in detail. In case of forensic, the technique of DNA fingerprinting has been widely used as a remarkable tool for solving such complicated cases where the criminal leaves no obvious traces. Under such condition, even a minute bit of person's body, such as a skin follicle or a strand of hair, can be used to identify the criminal by means of DNA fingerprinting. So here you can see the criminal identification and forensic. This technique was used for the first time anywhere in the world to identify the persons responsible for assassination of the late Prime Minister of India, Sri Rajiv Gandhi. Another example of solving a criminal case with the help of DNA fingerprinting in Tandoor murder case. DNA fingerprinting can be used as a biological evidence and strands of DNA can be found on hair and blood. By this, you can found the criminal. Now, DNA fingerprints technique is very well known for its application in paternity testing. Here, this is because the genome of every individual is the combination of the genomes of father and mother. Every son and daughter receives half of the chromosomes from the father and half from mother. Thus, a close comparison of DNA bands of a child with that of father gives direct evidence of his paternity. This can be easily explained by the following example where son and daughter have been assigned their paternity. The stepson, on the other hand, had different DNA bands. In India, the first paternity dispute was solved in Tallicherry in Kerala using DNA fingerprinting evidence. The evidence was accepted in the court of law and reported in the Annals of Indian Judiciary in 1991. Since then, several hundred cases have been solved using DNA fingerprinting evidences in various courts. Some argue that the DNA evidences is more reliable than an eyewitness. This technique is used to determine the extent of genetic variations in wild animals and also studies of breeding patterns, that is inbreeding or outbreeding. Normally inbreeding is important for the survival of the species. The technique is also used for determining purity of these species. DNA fingerprinting is used in determining the lineages of the humans and other animals to ascertain biological evolutions based on the fact that some part of the DNA called genetic markers are passed from generation to generation without any changes or modifications. The National Geographic Society has launched a project to trace the path of human evolution from their prehistoric roots in Africa. Such studies of the migration pattern of human beings over long period of time is called genography. DNA fingerprinting is used to diagnose hereditary disease. These diseases include hemophilia, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, cystic fibrosis, familial Alzheimer's, Hutchinson's disease, and many others. It is a matter of the great concern that disease causing bacteria are developing resistance to antibiotics. Tuberculosis is one example where the pathogenic bacteria is not responding to specific antibiotics. DNA fingerprinting is used to identify the antibiotics for which the bacterium is resistant. This technique helps in selection of the right antibiotic for the treatment. So this is the end of video in which we understood about the Human Genome Project, its goal, methodologies, and functions, application, DNA fingerprinting, source of DNA fingerprinting, procedure and applications of the DNA fingerprinting. So here the next video will be on the evolution, which is the another one series in the biology topics. So if you understand this video, please like and share it and subscribe to my channel Anupma Biology Classes. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any queries, you can ask in the comment section below. Thank you for the watching.